everybody, and welcome once again to the UnLearnT podcast. I am your host, Ruth Abigail, aka RA. And this is the podcast that is helping you gain the courage to change your mind so that you can experience more freedom. And we are talking to entrepreneurs in this series. And if you have been rocking with us for a year or so, these people will look familiar. Y'all are the first repeat guests I've had.
Really?
Really?
That's
Yeah.
good. That means we did a good
Wow.
job the first time. Yeah, uh-huh. You
And
know,
you know what it
pat
was?
myself on it.
People said give them another try because the first time was a
That's
I can
that's
see
pro-
that. I can see that.
that's
And
you know what? That's
thank you for
hold
giving,
on.
thank you for
That's
listening to
probably
the
right
people and giving us one more
because
chance.
it was actually the RA and Shamika podcast because I was
Don't
just
even, don't even,
and
don't
I
if
was
I remember,
even.
I was just a prop. I was just waiting on Shamika, but that's fine.
Shemika had bars in that particular podcast.
Listen,
Shemika had bars. I'm not gonna lie.
listen. She
You
always has bars.
you could have taken a break. You know what I'm saying?
I
You
You know what? It was like this. Like I hate. Can I say? Yeah, I'm hate. I hate when preachers come behind another preacher.
ah,
When the preacher says something fire, like just because they say, "Hey, you got anything to say?" Don't say nothing. Like the message was great. Though. So that's how I felt
sure.
when Shamika was going. She was having her bars, and I was like, well, let me stay out of it. You know what I'm saying? So
No, she had bars. Look, if you they participated. Excuse me. They participated on our unlearning marriage series, and it was dope, y'all, for real. Like, and you know why they? So since then, let's just talk about your life since then. So
Mm,
since then,
wow.
y'all have done a lot
we
since
have.
Wow.
particular podcast. Isn't that crazy?
That
Okay.
is amazing.
Yeah.
It is,
What
yeah.
what's
Yeah.
happened since a year ago we did that podcast?
Wait, this is surreal. Hold on. Because
What?
you know what? If I'm not mistaken, on a podcast, I want to say we cast vision about his wife, her husband coaching
Coaching.
and being coaches and certified. Oh my goodness. Who
We,
doing the work, y'all? Oh my
that's,
goodness.
that's wild.
So
It's
what's different? So what's new, Shamika Harrington?
Well, we have officially launched, and his wife, her husband coaching service is in the earth, helping individuals and married couples build and sustain their marriages from a biblical perspective. Oh
Yeah,
my
that's dope.
goodness, it's being
That's good.
done.
That's good.
It's just a lot of times, you can dream something, and until somebody say, "Hey, come back in, let's sit down, let's
Mm-hmm.
reassess." Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, RA.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Mhm.
Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah, we doing that.
Yeah.
Touching lives all over the globe. How about we done coached in South
truly.
Africa? We coaching from North Carolina. We coaching
Oh,
from Texas, from New York to Tennessee. Who doing it? Who the rookie of the year?
Let's go, baby.
Oh my goodness. So yeah.
Oh
Doing the
my goodness.
podcast and staying consistent with that. And yeah, y'all, RA. Come on, coach.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's amazing. Like
yeah.
I didn't even realize like that it had really been the last time we talked on a podcast, y'all were y'all were visioning this thing. And now
Mm-hmm.
okay, you've gotten certified. So you're
Mm-hmm.
like certified. You have like a
Mm-hmm.
certificate that says
Mm-hmm.
we know what we're doing. You
Right.
have officially launched this business.
Mm-hmm.
And you have you have paying customers in the
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm-hmm.
You got a
And
podcast that and this was a year ago. So
yeah.
that's what I love about this because I've known y'all for years. I've known you
Ooh.
for a while.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't even know how many at this point.
yeah. I want
But
to
like
say it's definitely over 15. And
No.
hmm, it's
15. Shoot, hold
2008.
on. No,
it's
okay.
because the
Probably a 10.
When did you all move to Memphis?
We moved to 2010, so I've been here for almost 15. So unless Shamika, you knew me in a dream, which is
No,
Yeah.
no, no. I would say 15. I said because when you moved to Memphis, we met y'all probably within
Yeah, I
well,
moved
we met your
2010,
parents.
2011, 2011,
2011.
2011.
Hmm.
All right, so
And
we known since we'll say 2011, but we really like had a friendship
Oh yeah, that's
probably about
been
that's
shoot,
been right at 10.
10.
Yeah. 8,
yeah,
yeah,
about
I'll say 8 to 10. Yeah.
Man, you kept us
Seemed
around.
like
I
a
appreciate
long
that.
time. I wasn't going nowhere.
She
I was
kept
yeah.
us
not.
around. That's what's up.
So I met Shamika. One of her skills is a nail tech,
Hmm.
and one of the things, and I want y'all to talk about this because I've never known you not to be entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I've always known y'all to be entrepreneurs, and I've seen the wave of that journey.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I one of the things I've always appreciated about being a client of yours, particularly Shamika, and you know, seeing you work with your clients is that when you walk in, you everybody feels like family. Like
Hmm.
y'all have a real knack for really just bringing people in. Like I would tell you all the time. I mean, I'm glad I get my nails done, but I really don't come for that. Like
Yeah.
I come to just be with my people. So talk about like how does it and Pat, we're gonna let you talk because you say
Right.
you ain't on there.
I'm
So
cool. Hey, listen, I know how y'all when you guys get together. I get it.
no, no,
I
we're
get it.
gonna let you talk. So I want you to how what does it take to build that kind of a culture in a business? Like what about what y'all do what is it that you think you all are building? Like, because I think you have a lot of people that have these things in their minds.
Hmm.
It's like we want to build something, or like, I want to start something new, or I want to do something that nobody's done before. And in
Hmm.
my opinion, whether you did it on purpose or not, y'all
Hmm.
have a culture in the businesses you have that I don't experience in other as a client anywhere else.
All right, so I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna give credit to your father
Uh oh.
because it was his ideal to create a space where it was more personal.
Mm,
And so
Hmm.
we started, especially for the barbershop side was like, how do you create this space where people can come and relax and there's not a lot of people around and they can just kind of relax and release. And so he
Challenged you.
kind of challenged or
Challenged us, rather.
encouraged it. And I can say, what's the word? Invested
mm,
in the way that allowed that to happen. So that changed the mindset for us is that how do we get people who want to come in this space where they can just relax? And so in the beginning, it was for certain types of clientele that would come where they can just be themselves. And so intentionally, we wanted to create a space where people can do that, where they can come, they can talk, they can freely talk, because even from the barbershop side, most men don't really voice how they really feel. They're not vulnerable when they come to the barbershop because there's so many men. And
mm,
so we intentionally wanted to create spaces for people to be vulnerable. And it's just our heart to see people lives change. Like we love to see the light bulb go off when we're having these one-on-one conversations. So that intimate setting allow for us. I've seen guys who are, I would say, like real rough, tough guys
mm.
cry
Yeah.
that you would normally never see that happen in a regular barbershop.
Yeah.
So because of your father's push and challenge to create that space, we ran with it,
Mm.
and it has panned out where we have seen people individually as well as couples change their lives just by coming into that space. So I would really credit him for that. Go ahead, Shamika.
And so the other thing I wanted to add to that would be having I guess the heart to have quality over quantity, and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that people always when they come in for the first time that they will want to come back. So the way we work is making each time as if it's the first time and possibly the last.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say the last, like due to a bad service, but it could be that life will take you on a different road
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I will want your life to be better as a result of you having come into our presence. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other thing is it's that balanced blend. So most people already have to get their hair done, but then it's like I still want you to feel like this is not another duty, another assignment. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is a rest stop on along the journey. I can gain a nail service or a barber service, and it's like, whoo, okay, so now let's get back at it. But it's just like a little reprieve from all of life happenings that you can
Yeah.
just kind of let your hair down. Well, get your nails done, get some stuff off of you, and then you're able to go back and face life better and more confident. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I feel that. Like personally, I feel that. I just saw y'all yes yesterday. We recorded. What's today?
Mm-hmm.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw him yesterday.
Yeah.
And it'd been a couple of weeks and I was feeling it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need to get back to the shop
Yeah.
because everything that y'all described is true. And it takes something. I think one of the things I hear a lot of people. How long have y'all been in business together
What?
doing this?
Um, off and on, 15 years since
Yeah. Okay.
2008. Because
So
she would be at one shop, I would be at another, and then but together, just her and I together, it's been 10 years.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk to people, and part of the reason I wanted to do this series is because I just talk to a lot of people that say that they want to start something, build something,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason. Sometimes it's because I'm tired of working for somebody else. Sometimes it's I really
Mm-hmm.
have this burden, this passion to serve or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's because they got fired and they're like, well, I think
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
the thing it is I need to do is do something on my own. And so it I think I don't know. I wish I had the percentage of maybe we can find out what the percentage is of entrepreneurs businesses that fail within a year. What
85%.
that's why I knew it was ridiculously high.
So 85% fell in the first year, then the extra 10 fell in the next 5 years, and only 5% actually last after 10 years.
Wow.
I think that's around the number.
Wow. Y'all
Hmm.
realize you in the 5%.
That's deep. That's deep. You're gonna make me cry. That's deep.
Don't you start that.
I'm not gonna cry.
But again,
I'm not gonna cry.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
listen,
wild.
listen. I'm not gonna take over. So listen, that's 10 years of just real talk, and it finally clicked this year though. Even though it's been 10 years, it finally clicked
Mm,
this year. Um, for me mentally, it finally clicked this year. So I'm all the more hopeful
mm,
surviving the 10 year. I'm all the more hopeful what the next 10 years is going to be because
yeah.
it clicked.
It
Go ahead,
clicked.
Shemika.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. And I will say, RA, you mentioned about how long excuse me, you mentioned about different people having different reasons for starting a business. And the
Mm-hmm.
two words that came to my mind is sometimes out of desperation, sometimes out of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them will produce fruit. It's like, okay, I was pushed out of this job and I'm not going to experience that again. Or I don't like how I've been treated. I know my
Mm-hmm.
worth and my value now. I'm not tolerating that. Or
Mm-hmm.
it's just, hey, I have a dream. I have this inspiration and I want to help make somebody else's life better. Whichever way it go, when you come from that place of passion and their determination, it will click. It will produce fruit. And the other thing is with that desperation or inspiration, those years are going to come with sweat and tears. Like you're going to
Right.
have to sacrifice. It's going to be some late night oil burning. There's going to be some early morning begging and pleading, asking the Lord for direction. So all of that, like it doesn't come with ease. The road to entrepreneurship is not one without ease. Like
Mm,
it's going to come with some
Mm-hmm.
pain.
Yeah.
It's not like I remember, not that anyway. I remember during one season of Patrick and my our business, it was like it opened up and then it was just an intense drought. I can remember us laying in the middle of the floor praying and crying, asking the
Mm,
Lord, where was the next client coming from? We had
mhm,
no idea. I'm like, we were
mhm,
doing everything right. We was doing the social media stuff. We was doing everything. And to the
mhm,
point, and I know Patrick probably gonna be shocked that I'm saying this, but I'm so free that to the point that we had to file bankruptcy. Like we had to make tough decisions in order to stay alive and survive at that time. It was alive and just
mhm.
surviving. But I agree with Patrick now that we didn't move from surviving to a place of thriving. And
Yes.
so, and now we're getting ready to taste of thriving fruit versus surviving fruit. So,
So
yeah,
that I would say the stages I call it. So we're going to the part where we're fighting for the
the
land
promise.
of more than enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you have in Egypt there was not enough, and then in the wilderness it was just enough. But to get to the land of more than enough, it took a lot more. It took a fight, and so we are, in my opinion, we're entering into this land of more than enough because it clicked, and we've been through all those stages, and so it's exciting to see things work themselves out. Not to mention, she talked about the filing of bankruptcy. The pandemic happened maybe a year later.
yeah,
So after we did that, and we was okay. Now the pandemic happened, and that threw us off again.
Yep.
So from that time to this, that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing the curve, but there was so much disciplines that
Yeah.
we learned during that process. And check this out. I'm still on the side. My what they call it, pro bono. I'm still financial coaching people who are
to
who are
success.
obtaining the success that they want financially while I'm going through. So while David is in the cave of Adullam, he himself is distressed and distraught. He
Mm,
himself is in debt and in desperation. And yet still men are still following, or they have come to the cave with him as well. And even in that place, because of he knew who he
Mhm.
was still able to help them while he was going through
help it.
himself. So
And you know what? Hey, we're not taking over your podcast.
now it's just being you, Shamika.
But
Listen, I ain't just a prop.
Who the
Let's go
prop
with
this
it.
time?
but you know what?
No.
I think that God is so amazing in that He will allow us to see the fruit of others thriving, to see
Mhm.
how our attitude and how we will handle that when it's not your turn, but you
Hmm.
still give others that gift of life, and you get to
Mm-hmm.
see, hey, they got a garden and we helped out with them. And so it's like you
Mm-hmm.
learn to serve others, unselfishly. Like it don't have anything to do with me. You don't have to turn back to bless me. I just want to know if God worked, see God work in your life. And so a lot of times he may have you to wait because he know that you really believe him. But let me give you proof in somebody else's life. So now it'll really show up. It's
So
like
Mm-hmm.
building your
Until
portfolio.
this
Hmm.
this
okay.
is good. Because what you just said, I think that is a huge unlearning that people who are striving for success have to do, right?
Mm.
Is unlearning that success for you means it's about you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It might not be, right? Success
Mm-hmm.
for you might mean it's about somebody else. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's such a man, that's a I can imagine, Pat, when you are coaching people financially who are doing better than you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Financially. That there's something to, there's something to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's beautiful, but I can only imagine it's frustrating.
Yeah.
That has to be frustrating, right?
Yeah. I was talking to some of the people in all of within I said within a year or two, their credit scores are 740 to 760 from like in the low 600s, and their credit scores are better than mine. And I'm like, how your credit score better than my credit score? Like what they do that at? So, but it was still comforting, and it was not the word's not refreshing. It was rewarding to
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
know that
yeah.
these biblical principles, and I only taught
Come
them from
on, they
what I
work.
learned from the Bible, that these biblical principles help. So it's like, let me catch you before you get into my position. I want to catch you so you'll never have to get in the position that I am. Because even though I was working from a deficit, I learned these biblical principles that typically people wait till they're successful, then they teach them. And that was a part of me as well. It's like, okay, I don't, it doesn't look, but I know this works. I'm looking at the word of God and I'm like, okay, God, this is a biblical principle that can be applied to anybody. I want to give it to them now. Since I got it, let me show them now. And they've applied it. It's worked, and it's worked in my life as well to help me out of the deficit while they're being elevated. So yeah, it is frustrating, but
Hey.
um,
Mm.
my wife, who's my cheerleader, my number one cheerleader, uh, continue to encourage me to let me know, hey, it's gonna work out for you too. Just
Yeah.
keep going, and to be happy and be excited that people are listening to you
Mm.
and it's working for
Yeah.
them. Right.
Yeah. That's so. I want to, because we've talked about several different things. So y'all need to
Mm-hmm.
know. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and term y'all serial entrepreneurs. That's kind of who you are. You've
Mm-hmm.
got so talk to us about all the different things that you do, right? The ways that you're monetizing your gifts. What are they?
Mm.
Um, so we would do in terms of things that we're just so good. This all right. So all right. So we have barbering
Hmm.
and coaching
Hmm.
and life insurance. Now, all
Wait
right.
a
Hold
minute.
on.
And authoring. Come on.
Oh
Who's
yeah.
an
Right.
author? Don't start now. Come on. Come on, because I got a portfolio too. Let's go. I just man.
So you got manicuring and then all of that. But here's the thing. So just work with me. So we can debate. We can debate about this. All right.
Come on, let's debate.
So in the beginning, she said, come on, let's debate. In the beginning, there's a preacher who was trying to say in the
Patrick,
beginning,
stay
he couldn't say it right.
focused.
So, all right. So in the beginning, our focus was not trying to make a lot of money. Our focus was in this entrepreneur route. We want to make sure that we focus mostly on building the relationship with our children. We'll make the money that we need to, but we're not going to focus on making so much money because you're taught that there's a sacrifice that has to be made. And so for us, the sacrifice was
Mm,
building this what they would call a extremely successful business. So and actually we put in effort to make the business successful enough where we didn't have to sacrifice the relationship of our children because we were told you can't, like, something happens. And I've seen people who would say, you just got to sacrifice your family. There are times you just got to sacrifice your family to make the business work. All right. So this just hear me out. And so the term that they would use is jack of all trades. Jack of all trades, master of none.
hmm.
All right. And they say, we see, you can't be a jack of all trades. If you're a jack of all trades, you'll be a master of none. Therefore, you have to just focus on one thing at a time. Is that right? But actuality, the whole quote is jack of all trade is a master of none. Oftentimes is better than being the master of one. Jack of all trade is a master of none. Oftentimes is better than being the master of one.
Hmm.
So we always tell about how the brain or your mind can do everything. In the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, he says his rich dad told him, never say I can't afford. Always ask, how can I afford?
Mm.
So throughout the years, we've always taught people that you can't have both. Like, you can't have a successful business and a successful family.
Not me
Something
and
has
you,
to
but others.
right, but
Yeah.
something has to be sacrificed to the point that da 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 da. But my question is, this just like a month ago. My question is, have we stifled our heart to the point where we've introduced or we've consistently taught over and over again people that they can only do one thing at a time in order to be successful,
Mhm.
because we've closed the mind to say you can't have a very successful, and success is relative. You can't have a successful business and a successful this, and you can't do all of that at the same time. And so because people have taken that and ran with it and and bought into it, we've closed the mind on
Mm,
what it can do. So then my thought process is, how can you have both successful at the same time? Like, how can you have a successful family and a successful business rather than saying sometimes you have to? Now, I know there's a level of success,
yeah.
but a lot of times people, the first, he's never there for his children on the weekend. I spend a lot of time away from my wife, and it's just part of the game. You just have to do that. But is it really? Like, does it really have to be that? I'm gonna make this with my last point, and I'm gonna say why I believe it, and then I'm gonna be done. There was a guy, and I think it's a true story,
Mhm.
that the teacher wrote on the board two unsolvable statistic problems. The guy missed the class, and so when he gets to the class, now the teacher told him in 20 years, no one has ever in the history of statistics, no one has ever been able to solve these two statistic problems. The young man is late for class, so all he sees is these two problems on the board. He writes them down. He goes home because he knows this is homework for him. So that means he has to now come, like, he doesn't want to show up for class and not have the homework done because he did not hear the
Mm,
negative that no one has ever solved these statistic problems ever in the history of statistics. He solved both problems that were quote unquote unsolvable. Why? Because he never heard the years of what you couldn't do. He just knew I needed to get this done. So for me, the thing that I would say I'm trying to now unlearn is, how do I teach the people that you don't have to sacrifice your family and build a successful business, that you can, if you want to, build a successful business and have a successful family at the same time. So all of the things that we did throughout the past, it's been an exchange, like do this, do this, do this, and do this, and do this, and do this. But I think if great time management, um, great time management and intentionality can allow all of those things to be successful in its own right. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's the debatable part. Go ahead.
So honestly, I think I have a few thoughts that came to mind when you were talking. I think
Mm-hmm.
first of all, there has to be a, a definition of success that you subscribe to, right?
Okay.
So if I'm looking at you all, you're in the 5% of businesses that last more than 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You are successful.
Mm-hmm.
You have a home, you have
Mm-hmm.
food, you
Mm-hmm.
have a shop, you have vehicles, you have all
Mm-hmm.
the things you need to live. You're
Yeah.
success. To me,
Right.
if I'm just looking at just I'm gonna put a label on something, I would say, yeah, you're successful. And
Mm-hmm.
you have an incredible family relationship.
True.
So if I'm looking at it, I would say that you proved your own point wrong. You have
Mm-hmm.
disproven the point by your life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, it depends on your definition of success. Now, if your
Right.
definition of success is I want 10 chairs and I want I want 10 employees and I want a building, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff. I want 20 clients for coaching or whatever I want to grow the thing.
Right.
If that's your definition of success, then I think then it's a matter of asking yourself the question, um, how like you what like Rich Dad did, right? Not I can't do
Mm-hmm.
it. How can I do it? And
Mm-hmm.
now you're like, all right, this is what I want. How do we get there without
Mm-hmm.
sacrificing our relationships with our kids? I
Right.
don't know, and my parents are a little different. I mean, they definitely are entrepreneur. My father, he's an entrepreneurial dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't live in that world technically, but the way he has kind of moved has been in those ways,
Yeah.
and he's been an entrepreneur before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't feel slighted by that. As a as somebody who grew up in a home where I didn't. I mean, he was doing his thing. Like he was around obviously, and he was with us, and he raised us, and all this. But we saw our
Mm-hmm.
mom more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but still have a great relationship with him. And I do remember seasons where it was not a whole lot that we saw of dad because we knew he was working.
Right.
It was seasonal, right? And then,
Right.
you get older and you start to experience different things and you have different rhythms of life and all that stuff. And I never felt that that was an issue. Um, but I do hear what you're saying when it comes to like a lot of people feel like they have to choose. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that's more so because we don't define success. Like,
Hmm.
what does that mean? Right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if success is I want to be a multimillionaire, then yeah, maybe you're gonna have to, some
But
things are gonna happen along the way.
but do you really have to, or have we just accepted that because that's what people have told us throughout the years? I remember this. I don't want to say the name, but there was a guy interviewing a young lady, and her business is successful, and she said she had to give up her marriage to make her business be successful. And I'm like, what? And so I'm like, well, why? Like, why? And I remember asking my wife one time. I said, baby, can you have a successful business and successful marriage at the same time? Because we've been told we couldn't. This was just last year. I asked the question, and she said, yeah, because my wife is optimist. She's hopeful about everything. And she said yes, but I'm like, but we've been taught you can't be very successful. So and I'm going through, and then I was looking at the quote, and I read the quote in Forbes where it was talking about jack of all trades, a master of none, but better be a master of one. And I said, wait a minute, they've used this quote
Mm.
and used the quote wrong. What if the quote was used right? How many more people would properly juggle, or my wife word, properly balance and blend everything to where nothing has to. And again, I understand the sacrifice and everything, but there's not a major sacrifice where the business or the family is missing out. But anyway.
What do you think? What do you think, Shemika?
So, um, when it comes, well, wait a minute. First of all, I want to tell you thank you. I had an Abraham moment when you was just sharing about, you have a home, you have a marriage, you have a family, and it's a thriving, working family. Like we actually like each other. We actually do
Mm-hmm.
life for real with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Vehicles, um, like you said, meals, like you have all of that, and it was just like a look up, like you really are
Mm-hmm.
at the top, like you already in a
Mm-hmm.
breathtaking space. And so, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Um, I would say that once you define the value, like your values
Mm-hmm.
and what is of worth to you, you make it work. You
Yeah.
do whatever it takes to
Yep.
make it work. And I think that because we prioritize and we place so much value on our marriage and our children having us there, as well as setting a standard of expectation and not wanting
Mm-hmm.
to be hypocritical and saying you do while we sit on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like while you doing your homework, we doing this business work too. So they had the opportunity to see us grind at different seasons in the
Mm-hmm.
business, and we didn't hide anything. And so I think that's what I would say. That's probably what a serial entrepreneurship came in, because in this season, let's say if a child is graduating, like the finances have to come in. So you may find me
Mm-hmm.
doing Mary Kay, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may
Mm-hmm.
find me baking caramel cakes. Like we gonna figure it out.
Right.
Like when I look back, it's so many things that we have had to do to make sure that what the assignment was, it had the answer, because we know the scripture tell us that money answers all things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if they need the high school dues, the what you call it, graduation dues, then we have to
Right.
figure it out. And we were not willing to I know for me, I was not, well, Patrick too, but because I say that because I was the one that experienced being a latchkey child. That's why I said
Mm-hmm.
that, Patrick. You didn't really experience that. But I just, that was one of the things that I was determined that I did not want our children to experience, where they had to assume my role as their
Mm.
mother, or the role of being a father or protector or whatever. Like, no, that's your dad's role. And so that was one of the things that we were determined that we were not going to give any wiggle room to. It's like, no, we're going to be present, not helicopter them, but that we were going to be involved. And we figured out, like, this really would let us on the road to entrepreneurship, because employment at the time would be restricted
Mm-hmm.
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 to
Yep.
what we value. And you
I.
can't make a job, excuse me, Patrick, you can't
Mm-hmm.
make someone else value, you
That's
know,
right.
what it is. Like, you're not gonna, I mean, I know that you care about Patrick, you love him, but you can't love him the way I do. Like, your
Correct.
children, like, it's just, I don't
Well,
know.
and I like what you said about values. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it all depends. You have to define that, because that's gonna drive your decision. It's gonna drive how you become successful, whatever that means. And I think if you have defined what your values are as individuals or as a family, then you honor those values by doing things. You do things to honor those values, and success is that. Success
Mm-hmm.
becomes we're honoring our values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and it and then whatever the fruit of that is what it is. And I think you all are perfect examples of. So and if you don't want to go here, it's cool. um we cut it out, but I want to ask y'all to
Come
be
on.
a little vulnerable, if
Okay.
because we talked about this in the shop before, and I thought it was one of the most profound things that we were just sharing, because we were kind of talking about. So I'll talk about a little bit about her wife, her husband, her
His
mm-mm,
wife.
his wife, her husband. There it is. Got it. I got it. They're always using everything, y'all. Like, they got a whole thing. So it's a podcast that they have, and it's the name of their coaching business. And I think we were talking one time about the power, at least that I see, and the uniqueness of who you are, who your story. How do I want to say this? Um, how your story uh can impact people, because a lot of people, I think, Pat, you alluded to this earlier, want to wait until they have all the things and
Mm-hmm.
have the ideal before they start teaching and before they start sharing. And you know, we have had so many conversations about, like, yeah, we we just regular. Like, we ain't
Mm-hmm.
out here in no mansion or
Mm-hmm.
driving, Bentleys and
Mm-hmm.
whatever car you would prefer to drive than the one you have. Like, like, we ain't out here with that. We don't take vacations to, all these different places across the
Mm-hmm.
country and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is most people don't. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
vast majority, I think we have so many, like, we see all this stuff online and social media, and even people that are pushing
Mm-hmm.
their services lead with what they have.
Hmm.
And I don't feel like you all do that. And I think it makes you much more, it makes what you have much more attainable.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're
And
saying.
you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
like, we can have an amazing life and not have to fly private.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I wanna talk about that, because when people build stuff, they have this sometimes unrealistic expectations on where it's gonna take me. But y'all are in the 5% now.
Mm.
95% of people
Hmm.
that started when you start are no longer there,
Mm.
and you don't fly private. So let's talk about that dynamic. I wanna hear what you think.
Who you want? Who you want to talk first? Me,
Go,
Come on,
me or
Miss
Shamika.
Patrick?
Lauren. Come on,
Go,
good
Shamika.
sister. Go ahead.
Ah, R.A. I that is so loaded, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to approach it, because I think that once you make the decision to not let the world determine, again, going back to those values, like, you don't get to tell me that I'm finally somebody because I fly private. No, I'm somebody even from right here. I may have to work through where I am. And that's one of the heartbeats. It's like from where I am, can I experience this good success? To me,
Mm-hmm.
that gives more validity to the word of God being true. You mean to
Yeah.
tell me that I can have a rich, fulfilling life and marriage and I didn't have to travel overseas to get it? It's like,
Hmm.
yeah. Like,
Wow.
you mean to tell me that you and Patrick really enjoy each other just going to Starbucks and Kroger? Yes, we actually do. So it's those things. It's like once you determine that, it's like if I am, let's let me say it like this. If, like you said, being vulnerable, Patrick and I have enjoy each other when we were broke, busted, and disgusted. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was at one point in my life, I didn't even have proper clothes. I had to wear some of Patrick clothes.
Man.
Hmm.
You know, we had to ride the bus together.
Yeah.
When the cars broke down, it's like, well,
And groceries.
come on. You but guess what? I wouldn't have wanted to do it with anybody else in this
Mm-hmm.
life. I just wouldn't. Um, and so the hope is if we can endure these hard places,
Mm-hmm.
surely there will come a time when we will be able to enjoy those whatever seemingly good places, but I still would want it to be somewhere that we decided we wanted to do versus
Mm-hmm.
someone projecting on us what it is that you have to do. And
Yeah.
so after this, then I'll be finished. But I would say if I could speak to any entrepreneur, whether they're an individual or a couple, it would be really quiet yourself to hear and see what it is that you know that you feel passionate about, because that's what's the fuel that's going to keep you moving. Does love feed you? No. But love does fuel you to get the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding, to find the mentor, to keep looking for the opportunity to not give up so that
Mm.
you can experience goodness right where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. I don't have anything to say after that. That's good.
Okay. I want to push a little bit more because that's what I do, and I
Come
love
on,
y'all. Y'all.
push.
And we appreciate it.
Uh-huh. So let's talk about. I would love for you to kind of describe, and I want to do it for a reason. Describe, like you were saying, at some point y'all were riding the bus with groceries. At some
Mm-hmm.
point you were wearing Patrick's clothes. What other things did you expect? Talk about where you came from in this
Mm,
journey of being entrepreneurs and like what
Mm-hmm.
that's looked like, and then talk about where you are and some of the frustration about being grateful for where you are, but would like to be further.
Hmm.
while Patrick think. He like he look
Ask,
like he
ask the
came on
question.
something.
Ask the question one more time.
Yeah. So talk about where you've been,
Mm-hmm.
like as entrepreneurs, and the
Mm-hmm.
tough kind of describe that tough
Mm-hmm.
space, right? And then talk about where you are now and kind of where's the where's the distance between where you were and where you are,
Mm-hmm.
and is it where you want to be?
Okay, Patrick, you
Good.
remember the question. Can I go? Can you tag me in?
Mm-hmm.
Can I go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I remember starting out as an entrepreneur. I remember the journey. I had a desire, but I can't say that I really believed in myself. I
Hmm.
didn't believe that it could happen. But then it was a woman that came in our life, and she said, "You're going to be fine." And yeah, come on. So she made space
Mm,
for me to begin the process of stretching the wing, right? And then as we evolved, then Patrick and I was like, well, let's do this together. So then we had to evolve and go through that. And can I tell you, it was head bumping. You know why? Because I was brought up in a single parent household, and the woman keep the money in her pocket. Amen. But now it's like, no, we're gonna put it in a pot together. And so now you had to go through the level of believing and even trusting, because this is another deeper level. Like, I am coming to know Patrick not just as a husband, but now as a business partner. And so that has been a journey. And I can't say that there wasn't without head bumping and frustrating and like I don't like this budget stuff. Like I just when I see the money, I want to spend it now. And him having to talk me down and say, hey, wait, we doing right by the money. Like this not the season for you to spend like that. Um, and so then it was something else I was getting ready to say. But, and so now I can say that we're at a place where it's like we finally believe that it can happen and that it will happen for us. When at
Mm-hmm.
one point we was just kind of on the dreams of other like people believing in us, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
now we believe like yeah we
Oh,
are doing something to help other people out. Like
good.
you can grow and develop. Like it really worked for real, and
That's good.
we can use our story as proof that it does. But we also have a portfolio of other people that it has worked for. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
just like we just trying to talk it up. Like, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
for real. And even if you are in, can I be transparent a little more? Even if you're living in a 990 square foot house with 7 people, at one point,
Come
it
on.
works. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody has enough space and everybody has plenty. Even if there were times when Patrick and I have had to share a sandwich. But guess what? Again, I would rather share it with you than to be by myself, you
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
know? Okay. Okay. Go
Yep.
Patrick tag. Boom.
So a lot of things happened that during the struggle we didn't have discipline.
Mm,
Um, and
mm,
so you have the struggle, you have the money that's not there, or it's really there, but you're not disciplined enough to do right with it. So the
mm.
so for Shamika, the reason why I don't even call it a budget plan, I call it a spending plan because you're still spending the money, and for some reason the psyche just likes that better. So for her, she likes the spending plan. So now there's this spending. Now I'm gonna keep it a book because it just hit me now that you can say it. A lot of the reason why I'm so headstrong on coming up with financial things is because of how my wife grew up and felt.
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
here's a thing, don't you cry, Patrick. Here's a thing for me to try to solve an issue that my wife has struggled with for years, and I don't want her to be in that struggle anymore, or I don't want her to
Amen.
have that thought process
Yeah.
anymore. So I'm figuring all these things out for her in the beginning, and then it became something to pass down to my children because I just believe when the scripture says a man will leave an inheritance to his children, that the true inheritance would be wisdom and not things.
Yeah.
Because wisdom will give you long life, riches, and honor. So you get all of that once you get the wisdom. So in the beginning, we didn't have discipline, nor did we not have, nor did we have this biblical spending plan that God showed me, that I just saw in the scriptures. So just like anything, if you, so Belichick, when they was playing Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl, they were down like 20 some points. And so the reporter said, so what kind of changes did you make in the third quarter to turn this thing around? Belichick said, I didn't make changes in the third quarter. I
Mm.
made changes in the first quarter, but it didn't show up until late in the third quarter.
That's good.
So
That's good.
there were changes that we've made and were making that it didn't show up, and then we had like some fumbles with the business just going down and pandemic happening, but we're still applying those principles, and now because of the bankruptcy, there's a discipline that we have now, that all of it now, like I said, this year is probably the first year I'm seeing this thing turn around. And it's
Mm.
like all the things that we're looking for, asking for, that just kind of fall. But it's not really falling. It's because we've throughout the years created a discipline and created principle that now God is, and for me, God is like, you're ready for it. You
Wait,
know what I'm saying?
Patrick. A
Okay, go
word
ahead.
came to my mind. It would be we were applying compound disciplines. because it's one discipline on top of another discipline on top of another discipline on top, and before you know it, your due season comes. But it's through every season you applying a new principle, you trying it out, you figuring it out, you adding, you and then look, asking for help. All of
Mm-hmm.
that keep adding pressure and pressure. That at some point, the way life is designed, seed
Mm-hmm.
time, harvest, the fruit has to show up.
Mm-hmm.
You
And so
said that there's a oh man, I'm gonna forget it. So yeah, if y'all saw me looking over, that's because Ty was just walking through the door and he didn't
Yeah,
realize I was
it's
recording.
okay.
But he's reading a book and we were listening to it on audio book. We went to the car. It's called The Habit. Oh, what is it? Uh it's about habits, and I think the guy's name is Adam something.
it's not atomic habits.
Atomic Habits. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the author's name?
I don't know. It's on my. It's in my.
So
It's,
so
it's in my Audible list.
what you said, Shamika,
Mhm.
he calls it habit stacking, where
Okay.
it's so you said, I mean, it's exactly, he calls it habit stacking, and it's like, the best way to build one of the best strategies to build new habits is to stack it on top of another habit.
Is
Mm.
So
that James Clear?
Mm-hmm.
sure, I don't know, I
Yeah,
thought his name was Adam something.
it's
I
James Clear.
It's James Clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, Mr. Clear. Okay, so um so he what he talks about is like, we have these habits or disciplines that we want to build, and he said sometimes the best way to do that is to build on top of another. He gave his example of like, all right, I already um when I'm gonna make one up, like when I get in the car, little things you don't even realize is a habit. You get in the car, you take your keys out, you start the car. That's a habit. You don't
Yeah.
think
Mm-hmm.
about it, it's just what it is. And let's say that when you do that, you want to start listening to more podcasts. You want to start listening to more podcasts, less music. Cool. So now, instead of just saying, I'm going to start listening to more podcasts and creating a whole nother rhythm of life to do that, attach it to a habit you already are doing naturally, right? So I start the car and then I'm going to turn on my podcast,
Mm-hmm.
because instead of saying at this random time in the middle of the day that I don't normally do anything, I'm going to start something new. You're
Mm-hmm.
much less likely to follow through with that than it is if you do it right behind something you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this habit stacking strategy that is, and so to your point, when you're talking about even being forced into something like bankruptcy,
Mm-hmm.
you're being forced into being more disciplined. The best way to build on that is to, okay, what is the next thing we want to do, and how do those disciplines compound, and
Mm-hmm.
how can we just make it happen from kind of from those things that are more natural to what we're doing, and we built it out of need, and now let's take that and attach another habit or discipline right next to it. um it's really, it's like, yo, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
You
Another book
know,
that in line with that. I'm just gonna
Patrick.
say that it's called the Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's
That is a
another
good
book
one.
that kind of relate to each
Emphasizes
other.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Shane. I'm sorry.
To go to what you were saying, even with the bankruptcy, now Patrick was sharing with you all that, I didn't like the word budget and the spending. Little did I know that I needed to go through that hard course of financial discipline through bankruptcy, because it was not, I will say the disclaimer is the bankruptcy was not due to consumer debt.
Correct.
It was not because of frivolous, like just trying to
Right.
impress anybody. It was just that the business was beginning to,
No,
collapse.
the
That
business
this,
died.
yeah,
The
see,
business just died.
yeah, and that that
And
that was
so
the route that
I'm
we had to take in
right.
order. Excuse me, yeah, the route that we had to take in order to experience that. But now I'm gonna go this route because this is what's been near and dear on my heart, and I didn't realize it until here recently that it's like, okay, God, I get it now. So sometimes we will have to experience disappointments
Mm.
before we can experience the expectation that we wanted.
Yeah.
Would I have signed up for bankruptcy? Like, no, nobody wants to go through that, I'm just gonna be honest, it was humiliating. It was like your name is stained. It's just like, ugh. But the what I learned through that is if you can do that, because
Yeah.
we made accommodations and adjustments for that obligation, then what other obligation can you do and
Mm-hmm.
have done? You know?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that if we hadn't gone through bankruptcy university, that I would have got the degree to know how to handle my money.
Come
Right.
on. That's good.
So now you go from bankruptcy to now establishing trust. Are you kidding
Mm-hmm.
me? Like, give me
Mm-hmm.
that. You mean to tell me
Mm-hmm.
that I can have that? Now, did I? We had to cry. We had to deny some things. We couldn't go
Mm-hmm.
everywhere with everybody. Do hey, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
For this lesson that I got, oh, that was worth everything.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
So,
so go ahead,
mm-hmm.
Pat.
Now, because I want to say so that was the part in where we are now and where we're gonna be. I've kind of resolved in my heart that I just want to stick to the plan that God has given me, and it may sound cop out maybe, and that's okay, but whatever wherever God leads us, whatever that looks like, I know. So my new YouTube mentor is Myron Golden, and my focus is more on the input. If I focus a lot on the input, whatever the output will be, it'll be. But I want to focus on more on what we're doing. So what the bankruptcy did was made us have the discipline to stick to the spending plan that we
the
already had.
input, yeah,
Right. So we knew what the spending plan was, but
Yeah.
we would get off. We
Yeah.
wouldn't. We wouldn't stay disciplined.
Yeah.
But that made us say, okay, we can't do it. Like right now, I'm my spending plan, the part that's for me to splurge, I'm out. So I'm done for the month. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, baby, let's go get. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't go. Like, no, we're gonna go home. There's groceries at the house. I'm gonna cook the chicken rather than go buy some,
Yep.
the chicken, the Christian chicken. We're gonna go
That's
home and cook this chicken. Go ahead.
sure. No. No. I no. I'm just agreeing with you. Yeah.
come on, RA. And I say that because many people, very
Can we
few
call you RA
people.
on your podcast?
Yeah, she said
Yeah.
she all right.
Okay.
Many people cannot ask those questions, but I believe that you know how to make Patrick and I dig deeper if you feel that we're not digging deeper.
No, I think
Okay.
no. This is y'all are hitting. What I want to know what made you all, especially during the bankruptcy period. I remember that. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when you sat across the table from me and told me, and I remember. I think that was probably one of the first times that I knew how close we were because I was like, that's not something you just tell people, and
Mm-hmm.
you were just very honest about that. And I was like, yo, like this is you hold this with delicacy, like
Mm-hmm.
this something serious. And I was honored to be able to walk with you through that, right? And just be
Mm-hmm.
there in the moments I'm able to be there and hear and listen and all that stuff. And what I want to know is, I'm just going to keep going back to this because I think this is important for people to hear. You're saying all these things, and you all decided to build something,
Mhm.
and you decided to keep going, even
Mm-hmm.
though you had to file bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are brilliant, credentialed, amazing, skilled people. You could go work for somebody and get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose to continue to go down this road as opposed to go grabbing a check? And
Mm-hmm.
and again, I want to stress, you all are 5%ers, not those 5%ers, but
Mm-hmm.
the 5%ers. I did that for you, but 5%ers in the world of business, man. Like that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So what has made y'all keep going? Because I think people need to understand. You talking about 10 years. So I think Shamika, you said it took 10 years for y'all to believe in yourself. You were kind of rolling off of what other people were saying and how other people were believing in you. But you, at least for you, it took you to about 10 years, maybe longer than that, to really know we got this. you, for whatever reason, have stayed in this game long enough to get
Mm-hmm.
to a place where now you feel like the tipping point is happening. But all
Mm-hmm.
through the time you've been through bankruptcy, you've been through buses, you've been through all of this stuff and way more than I know you're not saying, and you don't need to.
I will if you want me to, because I will say,
But I'm not gonna stop. But you don't have to. But I want to know why. Why? Like, why not just go get a job?
I will say that there was a pivot where I still maintained my um, nail career, and I did come under another entity's umbrella, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Another corporation, but there was, again, due to the building that we were in, that we were working from, it
Mm-hmm.
some an outside developer bought it, and I was trying to find a place, a reliable, stable place to still
Mm-hmm.
be able to accommodate my clients. So that actually pushed me into an entity for about 3 or 4 years, that little did I know was going to sustain me and even open up my brain to what working from a place of surplus and abundance looked like. That
Yeah.
when it came back for that to close, then I was able to come back, and then now it's take off. Like, all
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
know is
Mm-hmm.
abundance or
Mm-hmm.
surplus. And it's like I
Mm-hmm.
don't ever want to taste poverty again. Or, I'm praying for enough product to be in a nail bottle again. It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
we order 3 and 4. We order a lot more. So, but I would say what kept me going is that I just knew that this was where I was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that um I hope I'm digging deep enough. I'm pretty sure I could. It's not a therapy session, it's podcast. But I would say that for the first time, I actually like being in this place. I
Yeah.
actually like and I enjoy the privilege of being able to work with the man of my dreams. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't I make it work? You know? Um, and again, it has brought me closer to the Lord, to the point where, like, when I pray the Lord's Prayer, when that part where it said, "Give us this day," He has
Yeah.
taught me what it means to live in this day, and thanking Him for the daily bread for today, versus trusting in this construct, this systematic construct that is provided for me. Like, not taken away from anyone who does that, because I do believe that the Lord will show up in those spaces too. But for my faith, this is where He has called me to believe Him, and it's been wonderful. It's been scary. It's been times where we just closed our eyes and, like, oh God, you're gonna have to come through. And I say that, RA, to say, like, Patrick and I didn't have help from family. We
Yeah.
were the laughing stock. Can I even go back a little deeper? We were the laughing stock of the community because we were young parents. They would
Mm,
laugh at us about having all these children, and
mm,
wouldn't invite us because it's too many mouths to feed. It was just a lot. But little did I know that that was preparing us to keep us so tight, that now that they're the children growing up, we got two out of state. I mean, the children doing their thing. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? They turning back to bless us. We still enjoying life together. But
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for those, being boxed out, it would have made us not, I think, not be as determined.
Mm-hmm.
And again, moving from desperation to inspiration to say, oh, this is good living. I
Mm-hmm.
look, okay, well, okay, Lord, if this the plan, this the plan. I want to experience it. So,
For me, it's about purpose. I just felt like this was the purpose for us. That's one thing. I'm gonna go back. The other thing was I despise somebody telling me I can't go see my daughter in her recital or go see my son do this. And so when I worked for corporate America, one day I was trying to take off for our anniversary, and my manager told me you can't take off for your anniversary. I'm like, no, no, I'm saying it's our anniversary this weekend, so I need to get that. we didn't this weekend. It was a little bit further ahead. It was maybe a month ahead. And I said, I got to now that's our weekend. Yeah, yeah, but there's too many people out, so you can't take off for your anniversary. And
Mm,
I'm like, but I love my wife, and that's our weekend to go. And that I hated. One time I couldn't see my
Mm.
daughter. My daughter, it was a first something.
Award show.
I
Hmm.
have to do all of the first. If it's a first, I'll have to be there. Maybe a second, okay. But the first, and I couldn't make the first
mm,
because I was working for this corporate company, and I hated that feeling.
yeah.
Um, and so I said, I'll never allow anybody to have that type of hold on me ever again. So that 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 feeling that I
Hmm.
had, I never want to experience that feeling again. So
That would
then
be
you have
discussed, probably.
right. Then
Hmm.
you have. I just felt like this is at this moment. This is what God wanted us to do. And Shamika would ask me sometimes, "Do you think we should give?" I'm like, "No. Let's just let's just dig in. Let's just keep doing what we know we're supposed to do." Because I'm seeing people successful at whatever that what they're doing, and I've heard the stories and I've heard the testament of the other testimonies of how people was gonna quit, but they didn't quit, and for some reason, they kept going and kept doing the thing they needed to do, and it stuck out, and they survived and got past, and things began to roll around, began to work out for them. So for
That's
me,
good.
again, it was this pain. That's good. I'm preaching now. It was the pain and the
Don't, not just
purpose.
like,
The
yeah,
pain that I felt and the purpose I knew God had, and I married those two, and it
yeah,
kept the drive. I kept the drive going for me. Yep.
Yeah, I Angel Street's been around for 10 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And just understanding what it takes to get to 10 years it is a long time and also not long at all, right?
right.
Mm.
Um,
That's so true.
but in the world of trying to sustain an idea, something that started off in your head, and
Mm-hmm.
then you are living it out every day and trying to make sure it stays alive every day.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It can feel like forever. But then to your point, it it gets to a point where it's like, oh, there's another gear. Like I didn't even realize
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
there's another gear. And I don't know, I felt that when Shamika, when you were saying 10 years and I feel like I get it now. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even for Angel Street, it took us 10 years to get it. Like I remember my father, we recently got a grant that was substantial that we really grateful for, and he asked me, he said, well, he didn't ask me, he told me, he said, now I want you to start thinking from a place of abundance and
Mm.
think how that feels, not from a place of survival. Like think from a place of abundance. And ever since he said that, um literally that has been the only way I've been thinking. And not
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that, I want you to speak to the mindset here a little bit and what mindset will do. Um, I've been thinking only about what happens when we get to. I'm preparing for the growth. I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
thinking about much else. I'm not thinking about how we get to the next, in the next 3 months. I'm thinking 3 to 5 years, almost day.
yes,
And I'm seeing opportunities come to put us in that position. Come, I'm things are because my mind is there. I
yes.
see more of how to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can move on a regular basis, on a day to day basis, to say, all right, so when I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about whatever I'm thinking about with Angel Street, I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I ain't thinking about next week.
That's
I'm
that's
January
not my business. Yeah, 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 yeah.
20, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you have to, there's a beauty in understanding at what's your abundance tipping point, if you will.
Yes.
And
Hold on,
Hmm.
then
hold on. R.A., say it over again. You said you're
what
not thinking about today, you're not thinking about tomorrow, but you're thinking about what?
think about 2026, 2027, right?
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
and it's like when you get to the abundance tipping point, whatever that means. For us, it was a grant. It's
Mm-hmm.
like this gives us room to now really think ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for y'all, whatever that might be, what I want, like, what has that mindset? What are you thinking about now? Where's your mind now?
So for me, because it was part of the message, but it was before that that I was teaching and I was saying we are accepted in God. So we don't have to do works to be accepted. We're already accepted. So now we work from a place of being accepted rather than working for acceptance or approval. So for me, it's the same way. We're at this point now where I know it's working and I'm seeing the beginning of the fruit. There's at least one cucumber
Yeah,
out there. You know what I'm saying? We're planting the garden. There's only one cucumber, but there
yeah,
is a cucumber there. And so for me, I see that, and it's pushing me more that I am. I just asked myself for the next 3 years. So for me, it's how do we survive as a coaching business for the next 3 years.
mm,
So I want to go forward and figure out what that is for the next 3 years. So I haven't detailed what we should do for the next 3 years, but I know that's a question that I have asked.
that's good.
My philosophy is a good plan will ask the questions who, what, when, where, why, and how. And the how part of the plan is where you get really detailed on how to survive for the next. So
I would
uh,
say thrive. Hmm.
how to thrive for the
Yeah,
next
I'm
for the
doing
next three
survive
years.
over it.
I asked Chat what are the next
Oh,
10 businesses that will survive going forward, and coaching and marriage coaching was in the top four.
Really?
Uh,
yeah,
hmm So I
yeah.
said, okay, now now I have to ask, how do we go about doing that? And
Wow.
so I haven't really. So to your answer to your question, I know what I want the next 3 to 5 years. How does that work? I don't know. I know we got 3 years to transition Shamika from the nail to just strictly coaching,
Okay. Yeah.
and so that's where the 3 years come in, and we're gonna keep a few of y'all around, like.
Yeah,
I'm
not
cool.
going
All
anywhere.
right.
Yes.
Anyway, we're an hour in,
Uh,
Shamika. Don't be
wait,
long.
wait a minute. Wait a
Mm,
minute, Coach. Wait a minute. You said something, RA. It's like it's one thing to get it. It's another thing to want it.
mm,
And I believe that we all three of us are finally at a place of wanting it.
yeah.
Like I want the abundance, and I don't want the abundance now to flex. Now y'all know because I didn't share some stuff with y'all. Y'all know I was one that wanted to flex on the one. I wanted to pull up in the Range Rover in my red bottom shoes. Come on. I wanted the Rolex watch and the diamond studded earrings. I did. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I did
Uh-huh.
want that. But it's not to say that I cannot have it, but
Right.
that's not the main agenda. We really want to help individuals grow and develop. We
Mm-hmm.
really want to help couples to experience good success, even if it's as thousandaires or millionaires, or can we take it up billionaires, whatever that look like. Like you really can have it if that's what you really want. And so going to what you were saying as far as the mindset, once your mindset get it, then you gonna figure out cause why I want it. And when
That's
we do go after what we want. I don't know
yeah.
if y'all ever been hungry before, ever craved anything. But when you crave and desire something, nothing else will satisfy that.
That's it.
Only that which you want. And that's it.
I
So we want it.
Yesterday, we had gone out, me and Ty, and we were picking up Tyson. And before we got there, I was like, golly, I want some Dixie Queen fries with extra seasoning. It wasn't, I didn't want fries. I wanted Dixie Queen fries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the first Dixie Queen, who said something about, they on shift change. I said, what the devil is that?
What does it have to do with me?
It ain't nothing to do with me. It's not like I get this thing. I'm sorry, you can't take your order on shift change. Well, change shifts and take my order.
Come on.
And so I was like, they can't do it. I was like, because I wanted to be like, so really, because I was gonna ask like, so can I like how long until I can order? And he was like, let's just go. Like, so I went. So we went to the next one, and we went up to the line was kind of long, so we went up to the window. They said, well, window services closed. Fine.
Mm.
So he was like, well, just go to Whataburger. I said, I don't want Whataburger. I don't want that. I want Dixie Queen. So we went in the line. We got Dixie Queen because that's what I wanted. So to your point, you gonna go after what you want. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Period.
30 minutes late to pick up your son from your
Mm-hmm.
mama house because you stayed in the line too long to get fries with extra seasoning. You gonna do that? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's important. It was important.
Mm-hmm.
Dadgummit. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And for me though, Shamika, I understand her heart and where she's been, and I think that's probably one of the intersections of our desire, because I've never desired to be. I've never. Here's why. I'm an only child. I've always gotten the things.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one with the boombox. I was the only one with the Atari. So she didn't grow up that way. I
Yeah.
had mom and dad at the house. You know what I'm saying? So like I never want to have. I don't care about a Range Rover. I don't care about a red bottom. I'm not saying I don't like them, but I don't really care about it. I want to be the person that nobody knows has the money, but I'm behind the scenes doing things for people without them even knowing. You feel
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But now when Shamika was talking, I realized, oh, I see why she feels that way, and that's a valid. I mean, her reasoning for wanting to do that is valid. And
Wait.
I used to be like, go ahead. I used to be like, no, baby, don't want whatever. But I
Mm.
understand. I'm saying I understand why now,
Yeah.
and I
Gotcha.
understand why my heart was not so on that, and why hers was,
Yeah.
because we grew up in two different types of
Worlds.
households.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will say, I'm not saying that I don't want those things. What I'm saying is those things don't matter. They're like at the bottom of the list now. When at
Mm-hmm.
first it was at the top with the theme song. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, I wanted it all. You hear me? I wanted the world to stop. Do you hear me? I wanted it all. But now it's like, I don't want, like, why? What is that song gonna do for you? What is this Range Rover? If I won't pick up somebody, if I won't help
Mm-hmm.
somebody with the Range Rover, if I'm thinking I'm so such and much, ain't nobody, ain't nobody want to do business with you, girl. Like, stop that. So now, if in doing the business, I do end up acquiring my fries with the extra seasoning, then what you're gonna do is let me enjoy my
That's
set of
it.
fries with this extra
That's it.
seasoning.
That's
Amen.
good.
That's
That's
it.
good.
That's it. I,
That's
I
good.
love it. That's good. Y'all, listen, I just want to say I really believe that y'all's story, we don't interview people. I say we. I don't hear entrepreneurs such as yourselves being interviewed enough
Hmm.
because I'm gonna go. I can't get over this. I don't know why. I'm gonna go back. You've been in business for more than 10 years. That
Mm-hmm.
is 85% fail in the first year. That's what you said, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
85%. Now, if it's wrong, it's him. It ain't me. So
Mm-hmm.
85% fail in the first year, and then another 10% in the second year,
Mm-hmm. First,
and
between the first 5 years.
I'm sorry, thank you, between the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you all have surpassed 5 years. Therefore, that means you're in the 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So, and still, you are still have these benchmarks, these things that you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the audience, what you know, no, how about this? I'm gonna ask y'all, based on your experience as entrepreneurs, just from each one, just to round out the conversation, what's one thing you would want young leaders who are maybe interested in being an entrepreneur, or who are building something maybe within a context, maybe within a company, within an organization or whatever, starting something new? What is one thing that you would encourage them to unlearn immediately in order to remain on the journey?
Hmm.
That it's not about doing, it's about being. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about doing, it's about being. Work from a place of who you are. I think Patrick says it so much and so often, and that's working from a place of purpose. And when you know who you be, then you know what to do.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
For me, is focus on helping people. I think that's part of the thing that helped us is that we began to focus more on who can we help rather than how much money can we make.
That's good.
And I've heard a lot of the successful people who said that turned around for them, and it actually turned around for us. Because when you focus, because there are going to be times where the business doesn't work, can you still reach out and help the people though? You know what I'm saying? Or it's not working the way you wanted to. Okay, then if that's the case, and you start focusing on the money, then you've lost focus of the purpose as the reason why you started the business in the first place. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just stay focused on how many people can I help quickly, and
Mm.
I think it'll
By
work out
being who God, by being who you are called to be.
to be. Yeah.
Once you have those things established, then the doing is just going it's gonna roll out. Like you're gonna wake up and show up. You're gonna stay up late. You'll see opportunities to be able to serve and to do the work. Yep,
You say wake up.
I
I
probably
think
did.
I think that's what
Okay.
she said.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
That
That'll
we
work.
can
wake
try it.
up. Look,
Wake
wake up is staying woke while sleeping. Y'all don't
look
know
at you.
nothing about that.
Okay, look
Yeah,
at
that's
you.
right. That's
All
good.
right. You know what? We're gonna end on that note. We're gonna
All
end on
right.
yours. Yeah, that's it. It's over. Um, y'all, thank y'all so much for
No problem.
thank y'all, man. This was great.
Thank you. Thank
This
you.
was
Thank
great.
you, RA.
No,
Yeah.
and I mean that. Like, I wish we heard more of stories like y'all's in the season you are, because this at the reality is most people who venture off into doing something on their own or building something like you all have will have more of what you have experienced
Mm-hmm.
than what the social media world talks about,
Mm-hmm. That's good.
and will have a different will have to accept a different version of success based on their values that is often not um that's not represented in that kind of YouTube social media story
Mm-hmm.
that we all see. And it's not to say those stories are bad. They're just so rare. They're beautiful, but they're so rare. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't get that, I'm not successful. And that's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you
Mm-hmm.
all are beautiful examples of that. You all are two of the most successful people to be able to
Thank you.
sustain and grow and now get to a place where you believe that not believe where you will thrive in this next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That is that's as successful as you can get. Like,
That's
you
good.
all you're gonna do is put icing on the cake at this point.
Yeah.
So I I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Thank y'all for being vulnerable and transparent as always, like, for real. And I'm not gonna be editing this, so there's nothing you get to say is going everything gonna be enough. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You done said it. So no, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Um but yeah, I just want to say thank you and talk to us about how people can find you and interact with you and all that jazz.
Okay. So Instagram is his wife at his wife her husband 97. On X it's HWHH97, and YouTube is his wife. So if you're searching in YouTube, you do his wife is one word, her husband is one word, and it should pull us up, and then you can follow us that way. And so yeah.
And by all means, now somebody may be listening and they just want to send an email. They probably don't do any socials at all. And I
Right.
promise I get that. So there
Mm-hmm.
would be his wife, her husband, 97 at gmail.com. And
Also,
we really do respond to the emails. It's
yeah,
not a
and
robot.
not a shameless plug. If anybody's looking for marriage and life coaching from us, you can book your discovery call at www.hiswifeherhusband.net. Www.hiswifeherhusband.net, and you can book your discovery call from there. Yeah, and
Bet,
that's it.
bet. Y'all look them up. These are people that truly can help you. I know it. They've been helping me. And man, I love y'all. Thanks
All
for
right,
coming on the show.
Love
love you
you
too,
too.
Ari.
Thank you, RA.
All
All
right,
right.
y'all. So we are done. Uh, let's uh, let's keep on learning together so that we can experience more freedom. And we will see y'all next week. Peace.
All right. Take care.